We're back with a part 2 of the year in review, this time focusing more on samples, small bottles, minis, things I tried over the past year. I was feeling smug about the last video looking at my collection that I hadn't bought nearly as much as I imagined. But as I look at this pile of samples, I realize this is where the embarrassing excess took place. If I have a New Year's resolution, I love sampling. Of course, it's cheaper than buying bottles, but I think I'd like to sample less and focus more on just getting the few bottles from brands that I really love to kind of complete the lineup. Because the problem with sampling is it draws you away from all the things you already have. You end up wearing nothing but samples for weeks on end. And at this point, I think probably I could wear nothing but samples for the rest of my life and not run out of perfume. So anyway, first a glaring omission from the last video, because I like it so much, it's so special, it was in a different area, so I forgot about it, was Rock. I won't discuss it too much since I think just 2 videos back I reviewed it, but gorgeous, interesting fragrance, animalic, horse stable leather. I think what's so perfect about it is it's just balanced just right. A lot of the same thing I appreciate about Jean-Claude Ellena, how he can take rather simple ingredients, citruses, woods, spices, but balance them in such a precise, beautiful way that they just wear beautifully. They smell beautiful. They smell more interesting than their ingredients might suggest. I feel like Sheldrake is maybe the other side of the same coin, that he takes ingredients that potentially could be very challenging. This mushroom accord, this dank, as they say, a body about to explode. But then it's not all that challenging because it's balanced just precisely. And I also feel like the more Sheldrake I try, the more I think his construction is actually fairly simple. And that's part of the magic behind it. They're not cluttered. Everything is just well proportioned. You can smell everything in the fragrance. It's not overloaded. Sometimes the ingredients themselves are interesting or produce a shocking clash, but I think they're always well balanced and never overworked, overdone. And the heart of it, just the balance is what it's all about. And probably the most beautiful bottle I own. Anyway, on to the samples. First, I try to make some interesting background since you don't get my face. And it's a magazine I picked up. Gotta love Fran, even if you don't agree with everything she says. Just gotta love the fact that there's still 1 or 2 people around who can make a living as a public intellectual. She's not really a writer. She's not really a comedian. I suppose she's a writer, but she's only written, I think, 2 books. A writer who doesn't write. Somebody who makes a living just having opinions. How great is that? Anyway, this is going to be pretty random. I'll just pull what I see in front of me. First, probably one of the most dire, disappointing, bland, and also expensive houses. Boadicea the Victorious. I never would have bothered to buy these, but a very good man on Base Notes, P. Stoller, had offered these up in the freebies. I'd been mildly curious about them given how expensive they are. So this was free. They're all really bad. One thing I will say, I'm not going to go through all these names, is that I have a feeling this set of samples has passed through a few hands. So maybe the good ones were kept by people. I think one that people always talk about is Sapphire, wasn't in this lot, but Jesus, about half of them were just nasty, scratchy oud rose things. There's just oud in so many of these, fake, nasty oud. And then the other half were these kind of sneezy, old-fashioned, floral, citrus. One really smelled like a floor cleaner. I don't know, at the high price of free, these are not worth it. A really cynical example of marketing to beef up a concept that has nothing behind it. I don't know, there's not words strong enough to kind of say how bad I feel about this brand. Boadicea, not victorious. Let's pick something nice to say. Lorenzo Villoresi. Beautiful sample set, not that expensive. Hard to find in the US, but Newport Pharmacy, which is here in New York City, has a special relationship with Lorenzo, and they stock it, and I got it there. I haven't bought any of these, but I enjoyed wearing all of them. Just off the top of my head, the Ylang was quite nice. Sandalo is, of course, pretty nice. Well, lavender. They're all, I feel like, very Italian in that they're very natural. They're not overly complex. There's a bright herbaceousness to them. The only problem with me is having such a large collection already. Nothing wowed me to the point where I like had to go out and buy a bottle. But I've got my eye on the Eau de Cologne. It's just a really nice Eau de Cologne, and I can't get enough of those. Maybe in summer I'll go for it. And the patchouli, which I also liked a lot. A green, herbaceous camphorous patchouli that has a fairly light dry down. But really enjoyed sampling this house. Refined, almost, I feel like you can't go wrong with these. But on kind of the same vein, but different reaction, at least from me, Nicolai, also kind of vintagey, old French smelling, but there's something about these perfumes I really dislike. It was one of the kind of most depressing sample sets I've gone through, in that each one I just wanted to start over and wear something else that day. I didn't find a single one I liked. I do think New York Intense is the best one in here, but it smells, you know, unabashedly old-fashioned. There's just like a thinness, a coldness, not like a Chanel high-class, highfalutin, snobby coldness, but a coldness as in just like a lack of generosity to these perfumes. Maybe it's oak moss, maybe it's just that kind of, yeah, like just like bitter, dry, very like flat. They felt flat, like there's no warmth or life there. I don't know how else to describe it. I know it's a well-respected house. I know Patricia is a well-respected perfumer, but you know, sometimes something is just really not for you, and these fragrances are really not for me. Along a similar vein, these are all, I feel like, in the same genre, Santa Maria Novella. These I enjoyed quite a bit more. I feel like if you really want to smell like you're from the 1700s, some of their old ones like Patchouli, Melograno really evoke that beautiful old apothecary smell. Yeah, Potpourri's interesting. Acqua della Regina. I really didn't like one of the roses, Rose Gardenia, is like a fresh, sharp, kind of dewy rose, kind of a little too sharp and harsh. Similar, I think out of these, Villoresi is by far my favorite, but I enjoyed these a lot more than Nicolai. Again, nothing I'm moved to buy. I tried again their patchouli lately as I'm going through that patchouli phase. It was okay, but I like other patchoulis. I like the Villoresi patchouli a lot better within the same genre. I've got a lot. Yeah, so challenging your taste, a brand I never thought I would like, just based on kind of the style, the aesthetic, the kind of people that talk about it. I tried a few, they always seemed really synthetic and sweet and loud. I would say some of them are not bad. I ended up liking Neo enough to buy it at discounter. None of them are worth retail. It's such a large range. I think everyone could probably find something. I think Neo is one of the most quiet and kind of classy fragrances of the bunch, but it's a nice bergamot neroli. Yeah, I don't like Naxos. It's way too sweet. I had a sample of Tommy Iommi, which is hilarious because it's this sweet fruity thing made by a metalhead. Not a fan of their sweet oudi concoctions. They're okay. I think they're both overrated and underrated. I think they're not as bad as you might think, given I don't know, the demographic they market towards, but they're also not as good as the people who think it's, you know, the most luxurious in fragrances. They're not all that luxe or interesting smelling. On to more. Let's stick with the discovery sets. Affinessence. This was hit or miss. I feel like the more I try these, actually, the less excited I became about them. I tried the other day the Patchouli Oud again, and I really disliked it. Really kind of scratchy, amber woodsy. I did buy again at discounter the Musk Ambergris, which was a go-to scent for me over the summer. Kind of a nice non-scent, kind of a little bit in the vein of like a Gaiac, but not as smoky, more salty. It smells like there's a big old dose of ISO-E in there. but it's a nice reach in the summer when you want to just smell a little fresh and clean, but interesting and musky and have some of that ambergris saltiness. If I was to buy one more, I'm a little enticed by Queer Curcuma. I think what this brand does nicely, it's a lot of the bases are familiar. If you've tried a lot of kind of nouveau luxury niche, you know this kind of smell. But here they're balanced really nicely. They're not too loud. Like the Queer Curcuma, I was afraid of it being loud or harsh, but it wore quite soft and quite quietly, but could still smell it throughout the day. So I like that. I feel like they're pitched just right, like the volume is just right of these. And I guess that goes along with their concept that these are bases, base perfumes. Again, it's very expensive at retail, but seems you can find them quite a lot cheaper on discount. Tempted by Queer Curcuma. Again, second, third, fourth wearings of some of these. Instead of them growing on me, I kind of started to like them less and less, and wish there was a little more going on in them. Let's see. Two recent ones that were just well reviewed, and so I wanted to get my nose on it. Joseph Cortana, Hierophante, and then a new release, Force of the Golden Dream. Now, I have funny memories. I used to go to a shop called Seven in New York, which was Joseph's shop. They were known for carrying Raf Simons, cool avant-garde brands, kind of really on the cutting edge. And I remember they're at this below ground level store, and there was like scaffolding over it for years and years while they did construction. And I think New York Times or someone did an article about how construction killed the store because nobody knew there was a storefront there. But while he was working there, he started the Sixth Sense collaboration to give small designers a chance to make a scent, because usually, you don't make a scent until you're more well established. And I bought the Damir Doma one, which I still have and still enjoy, and that one was all natural. So it's really cool to see that he's still in business. He's still doing his thing, releasing these scents. I gotta say, I didn't love these. This one's interesting, and I didn't like it so much on paper, but later wore it on skin, and I liked it a bit more on skin. I think they just smell very synthetic. They kind of remind me of like 2000s, like kind of avant-garde. Like, I remember Demeter was really big back then for a minute, and CB I Hate Perfume. But there's something a little synthetic and a little lacking. Interesting combinations, interesting notes. Yeah, I just remember it feeling a bit cold and kind of thin in the base and just kind of a little synthetic. I don't know. I'll have to wear them more, but I tried them a couple times and kind of just thought, meh, nothing mind-blowing. On to this year, I tried a whole bunch of Amouage. I ordered this lot of fragrances. I still think it's not my favorite brand. I enjoyed some of these, but again, not enough to want to get a bottle. I still like King Blue, but not enough to pay more than, like, I don't know, if they made a 10 ml travel size for $50, I might take it. The more I wear it, it becomes more and more kind of sweet in the base. You get some more of those kind of generic nouveau niche aroma chemicals coming up in the base. But I do like that there is definitely a perceptible bit of animalic oud, and it's an interesting combination against the citrus. I think it was mandarin in the top. Other winners from the set, Memoir Man is a pretty interesting kind of ashy green galbanum. Lyric, I knew this fragrance already pretty well. Search, I'm considering for next summer, in like smoked citrus. Reflection Woman, I ordered on accident and I really don't like it. It's again what I would call like a sneezy old-fashioned floral fragrance. And so yeah, that's my Amouage journey. I feel like I've been trying them for 12 years. I can remember going to Min in New York, and those must have been the old bottles that are now highly prized. And I just try them on and off. I keep revisiting it, and still not my favorite. Along those lines, I ordered a lot of Tower samples along with, let's see, where is it? Here we go. Along with Rock, I picked all Towers. Tower's another one I tried at Twisted Lily back when they had a location in Brooklyn. And I thought maybe my nose was too new to really get it. So I revisited all the big classics. So here's La Oud, which is not a big classic, but Lone Star Memories, Lair du Desert, and Au Cœur du Desert. And I gotta say, I still don't like them. I think I don't like the Tower Aid. I thought about it, and to me, there's this like fresh ozonic accord, and I wonder if that's meant to be the air in Lair du Desert. It kind of goes throughout all of them. And it's like a coldness, just feels like a cold spiciness. The oud was really, really scratchy and harsh to me. In a way, it's the same kind of smell complaint I had about the Cortana. Again, I think it's a stylistic thing. If you like the style, then you might be into all of them. If you don't like the style, then you might find that you don't like all of them. A little bit surprised at all the love. Some people say like the Desert Moroccan or Au Cœur or Lone Star, like the best niche fragrance or indie fragrance of all time. They just smell like some vague spices on this kind of ozonic, almost aquatic base. I don't know. Tell me if my nose is broken or if I need a spray from a bottle. But I did not enjoy my revisit to Towerville. Let's get positive again. Talked a lot about these Austins. I think these are really growers, and it's good to have the sample set, give them more than one try. Again, they're just very elegant. I think they're really nicely judged. Not too loud, not too soft, not too busy. You can smell the star ingredient, but that's not all there is to it. I think even though it's a tight edit, it's a small little collection, it's a wide range. There's kind of something for everybody. So I highly recommend at least trying these out. This is free from a store, Creed Carmina. Yeah, it's bad. It's scratchy, big, amber woodsy, like rose oud kind of woody monstrosity. What else have we here? A bunch of Lucky Scent. These are Nila Vermeer. Thought about doing a video about these. These are, I think I got all the Nila Vermeer various orders. Mohair was my favorite. I really got the almond accord out of Mohair, like this creamy, irisy, almondy, nutty. And maybe I'm just being influenced by the name, although actually I think mohair doesn't mean what I think it means, but in my mind it's like mohair fabric, like a soft cashmere. It gives you the sense of like this kind of fabric. Very well done. They are expensive because they're fairly small bottles for the price, but I have found them on discounter as well. Tempted by mohair. Yeah, they're all nice. They're all well done. I think heads and shoulders above a lot of other small niche brands, but yeah, I guess jury's still out. I should try them more before I make any big grand statement here. Other one a lot of people talked about, maybe by a lot of people I mean Persolaise, was really taken with Adorum. It's only $35, I think, so I bought it. It goes with the Ney magazine, temporary thing. I think it's still in stock at Lucky Scent. It's nice. Again, I think it's not essential, but it's a really nice smoky frankincense. Reminds me a bit of the Comme des Garçons incense, but maybe a little less synthetic, maybe a little darker, but not too smoky. It's not like smoked meat that you get from like the Le Labo, what is it, patchouli. It's nice, but to me it wasn't mind-blowing. It's just nice. Aqua Media, I really like it. I actually bought the bar soap and I like that just as well as the fragrance. Not sure I'll buy the fragrance. It's expensive for what it is. But it's a really nice, refreshing, herbaceous green cologne. But it has almost no base to it, which is a blessing or a curse depending on how you see it. It doesn't have the kind of white laundry musk Francis Kirkjan bases that will last you a day and a half, but it also kind of just disappears completely after several hours, at least to me. A trio that really impressed me, and I've been kind of trending, so I feel a little trendy bringing them up, is Thomas de Monaco, his trio, X-Ray, Fuego, Futura, Raw Gold, and Sol Salgado. Fuego Futura is really nice to me. It's a really complex and strong incense. Again, these are, I guess, branded as Extrait de Parfum. Raw gold was nice, but maybe too complex, like too much going on. But I have a hoodie in particular that I often wear around the house, and I was wearing it when I sprayed it one day, and for weeks, every time I put on that hoodie, I was just like, ooh, this smells so good. Those are really expensive. I wish, since they are X-ray, I could do with a smaller bottle, but I'm very tempted for next big purchase to get Fuego Fritura. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it, but it's mostly an incense, but it's really complex. It has so many facets and layers, and it's really long lasting and really strong. A fun story here. So if you know the band Sigur Rós, Jónsi, their lead singer, apparently has a fragrance brand that he started with his sister. So it's like kind of a family owned brand. And I'm forgetting the name now, but this is called Number 23. They had an event in New York City, which was billed as like an immersive sound, like music and scent event, which sounded great. It's something I've actually always wanted to produce myself, something that combines the arts. Unfortunately, the event felt a little bit like I had paid to attend a promotional event. You know how brands will have these promotional things, either like something that looks neat to make people take selfies and post on their Instagram to bring the brand attention, because it's like they tell you the ingredients of the fragrance and then they have you all sniff along, and then some guys stand up at computers and make electronic music, and then the girls walk around with the incense and everything's for sale. I mean, I guess I like that they're trying something artistic for the marketing, but I just felt like I shouldn't have had to pay for this. This should have been a free brand marketing event, not billed as a concert. And Jónsi got up there and he did his Jónsi thing, and it sounds like they hadn't really rehearsed. They're just like, hey, just do your like kind of wailing over this bland ambient electronic. So the experience was a little bit lame. The scent is fairly interesting. Again, kind of in the same genre as I would say the Cortana. It smells very synthetic, but using all these kind of edgy Icelandic accords like mountain, fresh spring water. It's kind of spicy, wet. There's a real kind of like vinyl leather accord. Again, at this point in my collection, there's not really room for something like this, but it's not bad. I guess if you don't want to smell like anybody else, it's not too challenging, but also, again, kind of in that vein of like Demeter, CB I Hate Perfume. Doesn't smell like typical fragrance, but also smells a little bit indie, a little bit amateur to my snobby nose. Snobby brands, Bruno Cucinelli. This is really nice for a big designer release. I think for someone who's not super into fragrance and just wants a go-to everyday spritz, this will do the trick, and I'm sure that's kind of the market they're going after. Has a bit of a ambroxany kind of sweet dry down, but again, really nicely judged. A little bit citrus, a little bit woody, a little bit warm. So pretty well done for a big designer release, for sure. Indigo is one of the best places I've found if you want a bigger spray sample and you don't want the lucky scent ones. Only thing I'll say is I have noticed they do evaporate, so use them or lose them, or I guess put some tape around there. So I talked about Anne in the last. This is how I tried sand. Indigo smoke from Arquiste. Smells very designery to me. Yeah, if a designer made a nice tea fragrance. Patchouli noisette. The first time I tried this, I didn't like it so much. The next time I liked it more, and I actually got a lot of patchouli, but it was kind of going a little bit in the dusty, kind of hippie patchouli direction, which was surprising because I thought it would be like a really cleaned up patchouli. I'll keep trying it though. The last time I wore it, it was pretty darn nice. Iris MXXX. This one's a little bit of a head scratcher because people talk about it. It's so strong, it's animalic, it's challenging. To me, it wears very close to the skin. It's a little bit warm. It just smells, it's very simple, like just a warm ambergris-ish thing. I feel like the Les Indémodables family, they all have a certain smell to them, which is understandable because Antoine Lee is making them and they're using the same kind of source of ingredients. So to me, I would rather have something like Must de Sable from Les Indémodables. It's just a lot more complex, but I think in the same vein conceptually. This was totally random with the purchase, but it's pretty darn nice. I'd never tried this brand, Abel, and I think their shtick is it's all natural perfume. But this one, a warm smoky amber, has anise, cacao, and tobacco. But yeah, it lasted quite a while. It turned into a really nice, pretty warm tobacco-y amber. And the licorice up top, the anise, was really quite realistic. I'd never heard of it. It just came free with something else. Yeah, 100% natural eau de parfum. But very nice. I might look more into this brand. What else do we have here? Amber Nuit came free with my Eau Noire. I wanted to mention it just because I remember back in the day wearing it. And I'm usually not a big reformulation head. I kind of just, if I like what's in store now, I'll get it. That's great. If I don't, I don't. I'm not going to go searching out older batches of things or trolling eBay. I know for some people that's what it's all about. For me, that takes all the fun out of it. But I just wanted to say, I can barely smell this these days. I splash this all over myself. So something definitely is going on with Amber Nuit not being quite the same. Oh, this little card, worst perfume of the year, Mason Crivelli's Oud Maracuja. I sprayed this a week or two ago and it's still there. It's almost bearable now, a couple weeks later, but it's just the strongest scratchy designer woods. It's so caustic smelling. I just can't imagine anyone spraying themselves in this and thinking, oh, I smell great today. Like, no, you smell like a chemical spill. Of course, to each their own. Maybe some people's noses are just less sensitive and they need this power to feel satisfied. But geez, it is nasty, nasty stuff. And this little card is scenting my whole room for days. I don't know, just like back off the concentration, turn down the volume. You don't need to shout. It's an interesting concept. But yeah, that scratchy, super powerful oudy wood base is just really off-putting to me. This one was free a long time ago. Gotta love it when luxury stores make mistakes. I bought Gallo and they forgot it's supposed to come with a little like tassel. And I went back and he's like, oh, so sorry. Let me give you this. And it's a little midi cedar sambac. This is the comeback story. I really disliked it at first. I think I wasn't that into jasmine. And weirdly, I think Serge Lutens speaks of this when speaking about his interest in cedar, that it can have an animalic aspect. And I feel like there's an animalicness to both the cedar and the jasmine that intertwines in a really interesting way. And for the longest time, I wasn't sure I liked it. But recently, I think it was enjoying the cedar wood impression here and the cedar here made me just suddenly lights on, oh, go back, try that Hermes cedar. And suddenly I'm really liking it. And that might be my next bottle purchase. Maybe I'll not go through the rest of these. I've got various Lucky Scent samples. Yeah, the Greco trio I talked about. My Christmas present to myself is Porte Sapo. It's in the mail right now, on the way to me. The Le Labos, I tried Lavande this year, and I got 2 samples of musk because I just couldn't bring myself to spend that much money for a bottle. But I like musk. I wanted to smell it throughout the year, so I bought 2. Healy Clone Officinal. This one I loved the first time. The second time I thought maybe it's too shaving foam barbershoppy for me because that's just not really my vibe. So I never ended up ordering a bottle, but there's always next summer. And let's see. I think that's all. I think that's all that I pulled here. Oh, the rest, the Astier de Villat. I only just barely tried these, so I feel like I can't speak on them a lot. These are recreations of 3 historical perfumes. You can buy the 3 perfumes as a trio with a book. The one I was interested in is supposed to be, I think, George Sand, who was Chopin's lover. They smelled nice. They don't smell that vintagey. They're obviously a modern take on these. Again, wasn't like bowled over, but have just barely tried these, so I don't want to make any final judgments there. So wow, I think I got through most of the samples. It's probably not everything I tried over the entire year, but enjoyed these discovery sets. There's nothing really on the horizon that I'm desperate to try other than the rest of the line of And fragrances. I'd like to try the Métier Gantier line. I've never tried those, so if I can find a good sample set of those. But yeah, overall, sampling is really fun. It's how you train your nose. It's how you can develop taste, find your likes and dislikes. It's nice to have, I like having discovery sets because it's almost like a sample library. Sometimes a whole year later, I'll just suddenly think about a perfume and want to go smell it. So it's nice to have that library aspect. But if you're always sampling, you can forget that you have, you know, this huge wardrobe in your closet just sitting untouched of things that you once were so excited to have, and now they just sit there. So as always, as we should all aim to do, appreciate more of what I have and not be so distracted by finding the next new thing in the new year. Wishing you all a happy new year, and I'll see you next time.